Senator
Thank you
Dolan.
very much, Chair. Well, absolutely fantastic. I mean, the apprenticeship programme, I'm absolutely delighted, I suppose, seeing the launch over the last few weeks. I mean, seeing that increase in the target up to 10,000 a year. And I suppose it's just, I think has been mentioned, I think by Ms. Trant as well, you know, along the lines of the broad range of programmes are out there for apprenticeships, over 60 programmes, and you're expanding into another 18 as well. I suppose what I really like is the fact that it's opening up into the public sector. So I'd particularly like to see local authorities particularly benefiting from this, because that will really have an impact in regional areas. And there's so many skill sets within local authorities that we don't even know, between engineers, roads, communications, housing, planning. So many skills in there. I suppose just some of the questions I might have, and if I may, just to thank all the speakers, I know Mr. Brownlee and Mr. Healy, and if I may direct my first questions maybe to Ms. Trant, just in relation to the apprenticeship programme. What is the process, say, for companies to get registered? So I've had a lot of queries, which is brilliant. So, you know, coming in from companies, retailers, SMEs. Can you just briefly now, apologies because we are stuck on a little bit on time, briefly just tell me, how does the company get registered? How long does it take if they wanted to say they want to be in retail? And I looked up there today and sales are in there, but I didn't see a category for retail. So say, for example, how could they do that? Secondly, just the ETBs and FETs. I know that there's been a lot of modernisation, particularly I would have known GRETB as a board member, a lot of modernisation to bring everything online. And I mean that from the operations point of view from ETBs, but I suppose just the supports that are in place for those organisations to roll out SOLAS and FET. Just how are you engaging with career guidance teachers? I know you've mentioned that there are 3 areas that we need to look at. Particularly, I know that Minister Harris has launched this morning the regional workshops that'll be targeting companies and telling them about extra incentives to bring, you know, incentives for them to take on apprenticeships. And it's so hard, like for SMEs and micro enterprise, how are they going to do that? Where are they going to have the bandwidth? And how will this apprenticeship office help them? So secondly, career guidance. How are you engaging with career guidance teachers, and how are you going to support parents? And then if I might just ask Ms. Donnery, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Ms. Donnery, if I could just ask you in relation to SkillsNet, if I could just say thanks a million. Great to hear the supports that you have in place for women. You know, ambassadors, role models, that's absolutely crucial. When we look at STEM, particularly trying to get people involved in STEM, reports were done by SFI, you know, a number of years ago. And the most important part was literally having a female role model, be it somebody that you knew, like a member of your family, or, you know, a friend of your parents, or something like this, that somebody could see that it was feasible. Can I just ask you, though, if there were 3 things that SkillNet Ireland is going to be doing now to support particularly, say, different types of enterprise? So if I said to you maybe one thing for micro enterprise, retailer or hospitality, if I said to you what's the thing that SkillNet Ireland is going to do for SMEs, and what's the thing you're going to do for multinationals? And then finally, how are you getting involved with the Regional Skills Forum, and particularly Regional Skills West? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Senator. I might come in first, just to address your questions just in turn briefly. So the process for getting registered, for employers getting registered if they're interested, there is an online process that's available. So employers can go into apprenticeship.ie and they can submit an expression of interest, which then gets passed on, and they get, you know, there's contact made then with whatever education and training board they are, region they're in, follow up, and there's a visit, you know, and there's a kind of a bit of support through on kind of what the apprenticeship is and making sure the employer is prepared, and they become registered in that way, approved to employ apprentices. It can be quite a quick process, you know, if you know, just if especially if an employer is familiar with the apprenticeship system, and generally it just takes, you know, a short number of weeks. We have now over 7,000 employers using apprenticeship, which is up from, it's almost double what it was kind of 6 or 7 years ago. So it's growing. We are working though on the technology base. I think COVID has really kind of emphasised the need to have accessible ways of actually using these processes and getting employers on board. And that's going to be part of the work ahead to actually really streamline those systems. On the ETBs and the online, you know, work to come online, we have had investment in technology enhanced learning since 2018, 2019, which was actually really, you know, fortunate because it meant that education and training boards were quite well prepared when COVID arrived and people needed to switch online. There's been a lot of investment in upskilling of staff, a lot of, you know, online courses and supports. And, you know, we went fully online with apprenticeship actually from January this year, and that all worked smoothly. obviously challenges with the practical course, but it meant that apprentices remained engaged and were able to continue and are now have completed their training. And then the final point, just on engaging with career guidance teachers, we work very closely with the Institute of Guidance Counsellors. With colleagues, we go to every conference and sorry, do you want to come in?
Sorry, can I just ask, these ambassadors, are they listed on your site, the 25 ambassadors? How are they engaging with career guidance counsellors?
Yeah, so they're all within regions and working on particular apprenticeships. So they would, to some extent, I suppose it's with their networks, and their, what they're connected, they do school visits and so on. So, and they're very aware, the briefing that we've given them, I suppose they're very aware of how important career guidance counsellors are in terms of how they're supporting and informing students.
I think that's crucial. It's really crucial for parents. Apologies for interrupting. I just think it is absolutely crucial. That needs to be a huge target, especially to reach parents, and that has to be, those career guidance teachers needs to be supported. Thank you very much. And if I might ask Ms. Donnery if she has time. Thank you for your contribution.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned there SMEs and multinationals. One thing Skill Ireland does is provides opportunities for businesses to collaborate together and to determine their skills needs. So key to what we will be doing is ensuring that all businesses have the opportunity to develop the talent they need. And one of the strengths of the model is that we enable smaller businesses to work alongside the larger multinationals to develop the skills that are needed for that particular sector or region, by horizon scanning, looking at seeing what's coming next. What we do is make sure then that often the best practice from the larger companies, which sometimes can be more advanced, can be shared with the smaller companies. So I think in terms of the three things that we'll be doing with businesses is broadening the base of businesses that we support. We already support all of the larger companies and most mid-sized companies, but there's still plenty more smaller companies we can support. We will be giving them opportunities to determine, using their own voice to determine what skills they need, particularly within the focus areas of SME productivity. That can be a very wide range of different programs depending on the sector that we're speaking about, whether it's aviation or nursing homes or manufacturing, but also supporting them in developing the skills needed for digitalisation. So building digital skills, digital literacy, digital capacity, but also the ability and capacity to understand digital models or changes to their businesses and to their business models. So, and in addition to that, as we mentioned, we've also recently launched our Climate Ready programme.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right there.
I'm sorry, Ms. Donnery, if I may have time, Chair, but if I could just ask you, though, for a micro enterprise, for a small retailer, how are you going to support them? They don't have time. They don't have time to organise getting this done. Yes. How do you engage with them?
How we engage with them is each of our 70 networks has a steering group of representative businesses of the given sector or region, but also a team, a manager. So our manager acts as a HR manager, if you like, for the smaller businesses. Our manager goes in and speaks with the business owner or business operations manager, finds out what their development needs are, ultimately what is their business needs, and then what of those are training needs. And our manager or our given skill net can work and effectively act as the training manager for those networks. Those.
Ms. Donnery, I'm going to ask you to conclude there, and I know I will allow Senator Dolan back in towards the end, and you can continue on the answer. Sorry about that now, my apologies. But
thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.